by the way, I love the fact that there's an overhead projector here on stage, right? I mean, I feel like I should be saying, in my day, we had overhead projectors, and you guys didn't even know what those are. But anyway, the most common question I get asked, okay, is how many questions are the right number of questions to ask in a sales meeting? Right? How many of you are thinking that right now? See, I see a lot of hands, all right? I see a lot of denial, but I see some hands, okay? So that's really what you're thinking, right? You're thinking, okay, I get this system, I understand, ask questions, focus on them, get to the point where I can say, based on what you've told me when I'm selling, okay, I get all that, Matt, but how many questions should I prepare in advance? What's the right number? Here's the answer to that question. As many as it takes, right? I don't know. I mean, each customer you're interacting with is different. Let me give you an example from my own family life, all right? When I travel, my wife, requires that I check in every evening. I think that's a reasonable requirement, right? She wants to know that I'm alive and that I'm in the hotel and not out, what happens in wherever happens stays in wherever, right? So she wants to check in and make sure all that's happening. So we'll call and we'll have this phone call. And our phone calls go like this. See if this is like any of your other phone calls. She'll say, "How was your day?" What do I say? Exactly. It was fine. It was fine. Everything go okay? Yeah. Everything went good. Very good. So now what do I do? It's my turn, right? How was your day? Now my wife will spend the next 15 minutes going through every single detail of her life that day, from the moment she was at the house, like what the cats did in the morning before she left the house, all the way through everything that happened up to the moment of which I called, what was happening right before I called. For 15 minutes, all right? My wife will tell me everything I ever wanted to know. So if my wife is your customer, I guess it's one question is all you need to get all the data. But if I'm your customer, you're going to have to ask a lot more questions to get there. But here's the thing I want you to remember. It's not the first question you asked that's the most important question. It's the next one. It's the next one. In fact, there are two questions that you need to remember to ask in every single presentation. In every single presentation. These are the two most powerful, most important questions you need to ask in every sales meeting. First one is why. And the second one is tell me more about that. First one is why. The second one is, tell me more about that. You see, the why question is like, well, why? Why is that? They're going to say, well, we tried that, but it didn't work. Why? We were thinking about that, but we're not going that way. Why? We did this before. Why? Okay, dig down. Go deeper, 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 deeper. We're not interested in that. Why? Go deeper. What we always say was, what we see too many salespeople doing, okay, in sales coaching, what I see all the time is they ask a question, customer gives the answer, and like, okay, move on, they're interested in that. And I'm like, my gosh, how do you know they're not interested in that? Once you dig into that and find out why, what was the cause, what was the root, why are they there, you may find out that what they're thinking and what you're thinking aren't even related. You gotta go why. You gotta go why. And then the next question is, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Get them to talk, get them to open up, get them to go through, walk you through things that they're thinking about. Get them to talk and share with you and go through all this stuff. Now, I was doing some sales coaching. We were riding along with some account managers. And I was with this account manager one day, and bless her heart, she had done everything that we had said in the training. Everything we said. She came to the meeting. She'd set out an agenda ahead of time. It was a beautiful agenda. We sat down. We got to the appointment. And we were probably about, I'd say 30 minutes ahead. Which again, good technique, right? Making sure we knew where we were going, make sure we found the office and we're going to be on time. And so I said, well, let's review what our goal is for today's sales meeting. Go through that. And so I said, show me your questions. And by golly, she had a written list, typed up. She had sat down and typed up all her questions. It was 4 pages long. We had 30 minutes. Okay? All right, some of you are doing the math, right? 4 pages of questions is what she had. We had 30 minutes in this meeting to go through. And I could tell she was a little bit stressed out. And I said, you know what? The problem is you're going to focus on these questions. You're not going to focus on the customer. You're going to miss half of the data by not studying and watching how they say, what they say, watching their face, watching their demeanor. You're going to miss all that because you're looking at this piece of paper with all these questions. You got too many questions. And so, in fact, let's start over. And so I took her pages and I ripped them up. And she went white. Right? She was looking at me. She was white and then she was red. She was white at first because she was terrified, and then she was red because she was really angry at me for what I had just done. I said, look, here's what I want you to do. You remember what your first question was? She goes, yeah. So I write that one down, okay? And I will write 2 more questions, and that's all you need. Right? First one I said is write why. The second was tell me more about that. So she wrote that down. I said, okay, that's all we need. We're going to. She goes, how in the world are we going to run a sales meeting? On those 3 questions, that's it? Why? Tell me more about that. I mean, how is that going to work? And I said to her, well, why do you feel that way? Okay. She starts talking me through it. Well, that's interesting. Well, tell me more about that. And we continue to talk. We continue to talk. Now, what's interesting, we're sitting in the lobby, and so right back on the wall up above is a clock. And so I can see the clock, and I'm monitoring the time because, A, we got to go in for our appointment. But at 18 minutes, I kid you not, at 18 minutes, I stopped. I said, well, there you go. Now do you understand what I mean? And she goes, understand what? She's looking at me like, what are you talking about? I said, we just talked for 18 minutes. And I only ever said, why? Or tell me more about that. The entire time. And that is the true story. I only said, why? And tell me more about that. She sat back in her chair and she goes, oh my gosh, you did it. You did. Oh my gosh, that's all you said that entire time. And then she starts going, and I told you about my family. I told you about, my divorce. And she's like, I told you a bunch of really personal stuff. I don't have any idea why I told you that. And I'm like, I don't either, because all I said was why and tell me more about that. So how we got off all the way on her personal life and down these other things. You see, the point is, what was important to her, what meant something to her, which is what I will remember about her and what I'll connect to and how I'll work with her in the future, is what's important to the customer. And that why and tell me more about that drives me to the point where I know what is the most important thing to them. What do they get emotional about? What drives them? That's what I want to know. Because when I know that, I can provide a solution and I can come back to them and say, you remember how you told me this? Let me tell you about this. Remember how you said this? Let me tell you about this. Remember how you said, under no circumstance are you interested in that? That's why I didn't do that, okay? That's why I didn't do that. Two most important questions you can ask. Why? And tell me more about that.